Today's show is brought to you by adamandeve.com. Go to adamandeve.com right now and you'll get 50% off just about any item. All you have to do is enter the code word GLORY, Glory, at checkout.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there are no answers to the many, many questions posed by Congress.
There was one befuddled gentleman in front of everyone.
All right, this is episode 480, guys. We got to talk Mueller, right?
Yeah, let's talk about Mueller.
What a fucking train wreck debacle waste of fucking 7.5 hours that was.
There's like 2 or 3 moments that I really thought were worthwhile.
Yeah.
And good to hear.
Yeah, out of 7.5 hours.
But I will say that like the other stuff that the Republicans got him to say, or at least, you know, they got to say out loud and will use as talking points.
Yeah, completely.
It's a disaster in some ways.
Yeah.
In some ways it's really good because, you know, but I don't know if I said it on the show, but I know we were talking about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I said, I am not hopeful for this thing. I think it feels like it's going to backfire on us. And I definitely think it did. I think it was, you know, I don't think it was as much a disaster as like, you know, Trump right afterwards came out and said how much of a disaster it was.
He did.
But, you know, I think that the important parts of it are that they said out loud, was this a witch hunt? No, it wasn't a witch hunt. Schiff, I think there was a series of questions that Schiff asks that were really solid, that were just like, do you think that what he did was unethical? Yes, I do.
Yeah. And one of the questions, I think there were, so strategically, I think the perceived value of this was, you know, for most of the American public, they are not politicos. You know, they don't keep their eye on this prize that heavily. Like for us doing the show, we wake up, we're reading the news, we're in it to win it, right? But for most of America, they're not going to read a 448-page report.
Yeah.
And most people aren't going to read an analysis, a lengthy analysis, or even a breakdown of a 448-page report. Like, that's just not who America is at heart, right?
Yeah, right.
So getting this into sound bites really, I think, strategically was the idea, right? We'll get this big-ass fucking report, and we'll get it into sound bites, and that'll hit the news, and that'll go viral, and that'll get excerpted, and now that'll make these pieces in the report, which are damning, it'll make those pieces rise to the public attention, right? I think that strategically was the idea.
Right.
I think it had, like you said, it had some spots where I think some of that might have happened. And the example that stands out for me is at one point he asked, like, did the president order one of his aides to lie about this investigation? Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He ordered one of his people to lie. That is the biggest piece that is obstructionist, right? Because it meets all the criteria
every
for
criteria.
what construction. Obstruction, not construction. What? Well, he's building a wall.
Yeah, he's
so like
he's trying to build a skyscraper in Russia too, I guess. So construction all the way around.
But like the Republicans use their time frequently to give these sort of long-winded diatribes. Like they get, you know, a minute or 2 minutes or whatever. And they're like, cool, I'm gonna talk. And I know that that's gonna become its own talking point.
Right.
And then I'll lead, finish with a quick question that's a yes or a no, and they get all that time. They get all that narrative control time.
Yeah.
They handled it. The Republicans handled it very, very well. And Mueller basically did exactly what he fucking said he was going to do and what the Department of Justice forced him to do, right? Because they did admonish him prior to testifying that he was only able, from the Department of Justice, he was only able to testify to the facts relative to the report. So when questions came up, that were related to the investigation, but were the subject of other inquiry or other investigation.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't fucking answer that.
Yeah.
And he came across like a fucking crotchety old man being pestered about when he's going to eat his Jell-O.
He definitely.
Didn't he? He would eat that Jell-O?
He was.
Oh my God, I fucking told you I wasn't eating this Jell-O before you served me the fucking Jell-O.
Yeah. It was really just like open mic at the old folks home. Like it was. It was. And you know, the thing is like from what we've heard about Mueller.
Yeah.
First off, the guy is way smarter than I'll ever be. It's not that I'm, making fun of the guy. Way fucking smarter than I'll ever be. Almost certainly more eloquent than I'll ever be.
Yeah.
Way more accomplished in like, maybe he could pick 2 or 3 years of his life and he's more accomplished than I ever will be in my entire. So I'm not, understand there's a lot of respect when it comes to it.
Right there.
But at the same time, he did not feel like as whip smart as everyone said he was. Like everyone was talking about how whip smart he is.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really, but he felt tired.
Yeah.
He felt like he was done. He felt like he was not into it. He also felt a little befuddled. He felt like he couldn't tell who was talking to him. I mean, that happens so often. He's looking this way. He's looking that way. He doesn't know. He's like Columbo standing at the door. One more question, ma'am. I got one more question. He keeps on turning back and forth.
He also couldn't hear the questions all the time. He's like, oh, I didn't hear all the questions. What was that?
Yeah.
No, my hearing aid is.
Yeah.
Let me get somebody not a million to answer this question. He
need one of those big old horns. What did you say there?
Give me that Ricola horn. Just stick that in there. Just
you get Gomer talking into it like a game of telephone. But one of the things the Republicans did, I think, hypocrites that they fucking are,
right,
is that they really brought one point up, which is, why do this investigation? Why do all this work if you weren't going to charge him? If you knew ahead of time that you weren't going to charge him and you didn't have any kind of avenue to charge him, why do all this work if you're just, all you're doing then is just saying a bunch of stuff out loud and then that's it? And they did the same thing with Hillary Clinton, right? When it came to Hillary Clinton.
Bill Clinton. Why would Ken Starr have done his investigation?
Exactly. So
he didn't get arrested for fucking getting his dick sucked.
But even more recently, they did the same thing with Hillary Clinton.
Right.
But when that happened, the Republicans immediately took that shit and ran with it.
Well, we now know the truth and report it to the American people. Yep. Unless it's a truth which we are politically uncomfortable with, in which case
we don't.
The truth is not your friend.
What can I do to stop this? And so they admonished him.
Yeah.
The whole time they're admonishing him for something that they loved when it was for Hillary Clinton, but not now. I don't know. I personally am on the camp of, I was fine with, I'm fine with understanding what happened with Hillary's emails. I'm fine with understanding. I'd much rather have more information than less, even if you don't charge that person. These are people in the public eye. We're not talking about a normal person here. We're not talking about a normal everyday Joe who's just like some schmuck on the street who's just like, no, we're just going to investigate the shit out of you and then not charge you. There's a difference there. These are things that are actually happening that the American people need to know about.
Yeah, well, they're supposed to be answerable to us.
Right. That's how this works.
That's the thing. Like an investigation is never a bad thing because if we didn't find anything. All right, great. Then there's no corruption in the government that I fucking pay for that is answerable to me.
Right.
That I fucking hired that guy by voting for him. I'm happy when there's no corruption.
Yeah.
That's the ideal. That's the fucking gold standard of a democratic government, right?
Everybody would be super happy if there was no corruption. The other part that was kind of, it came out as a gotcha moment and then he walked it back was the Todd Lieu thing, or Ted Lieu. I don't know his name.
I don't know.
He came out, Senator Lieu said, he asked a question and the question was, did you not charge him because of the Justice Department's rule on not indicting a sitting president? And he said yes. And then he walked it back later and said, basically what I said in the report is what I meant. Yeah. I didn't mean to say yes so quickly.
Although there was another senator who asked him, and I thought she did a good job. I don't remember her name. I don't remember women's names.
Okay.
Well, I don't remember her name. Okay. I'll explain it to her later what her question was.
Yeah. But very slowly so she understands it. Yeah.
But she kind of iterated the same question in the second half, and he declined to answer because, it was a hypothetical. Like if he were not protected, would you have indicted? And he's like, that's a hypothetical. I'm not going to fucking do that.
Yeah.
And she did ask him, like, is it fair to say that if it were I that ordered one of my aides to lie as part of an ongoing investigation, that I would be indicted? And he said, yes, that's fair. So she got him to say, like, not that Trump would be, you know,
Right.
but she kind of got him there. Like, she got us close.
Yeah.
She tickled the button for a minute. Like,
There was a Republican, too, totally backfired on him. He asked the question, well, would you charge him if he was, and I don't think he says this exactly, so I got to remember exactly what he says. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
You believe that you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office?
Yes.
That's a Republican asking that question.
He seems flabbergasted.
He's like, wait, what?
We can?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, if he gets fired, we're fucked.
Well, and the way that plays out, it sounds like he's saying, you know, because the way the question is asked, when I first heard that, I was like, oh, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. But it's not as big a deal as you think, because I think he's asking, can you charge him with a crime? He specifically steered away from, would you charge him with a crime when he left office? He just asked, could you charge him with a crime when he leaves office? And I think that's an obvious answer. Yes, you can charge him with a crime when he leaves office. But the guy's asking the question and it makes it sound like you're saying, could you charge him with this obstruction?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about. So but again, it sounded like a big moment at the time, but it doesn't feel like a big moment in the after
he's saying you
effects.
can charge him with the obstruction after he leaves office. I think he's saying, like, can you charge him?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Could you charge the president with a crime after he left office?
Yes.
You believe that you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office?
Yes.
Yeah, so you couldn't charge, but again, he's saying, could you charge him with obstruction of justice? I don't know that means this particular case. Do you think that
Unless
maybe
the statute of limitations is over?
Yeah, but do you think do you think Mueller is just stating a fact? Like,
I do. I think Mueller is stating a technical answer to
That's
what
what
the
I'm
law
saying.
can
Right,
do,
right.
Not whether it would be appropriate to do it.
I see.
But
That's where I'm getting. You know, that's what I'm saying,
right.
is that he's just rules lawyering this.
Right, yeah.
He's just saying, no, I'm perfect. But it shocked the fuck out of the Republican.
Yeah.
And then the best part of that is right after that moment, that you hear time is up, and he's like, can I finish it? Nope. And there was another time where a woman asks a big long question. This Republican woman asks this big long question. She gets to the very end. He's like, what was the question? She's like, well, what I want to know is, and then she puts it more succinctly, and then time's up. Can he answer the question? No, he can't. And then that was the end of it. And the thing is like, if you don't think that's fair, fuck you, because they've been doing it since when they had controlled the House.
Right.
They did that to the Democrats all the time. They did that constantly to the Democrats the whole time. So there is some things we want to highlight. There's some highlights to the testimony that we want to cover. This is a particular article from the New York Times that talks about it. A couple of things that pop out. One, Mueller admitting that Trump was generally untruthful and incomplete in his written answers. And then someone pushed him on this and said, well, why didn't you get him to sit down?
Yeah.
And he had said, I do not think that we would have ever gotten him to sit down in a timely manner for this investigation. It was not going to happen. He was going to fight it in courts forever.
Yeah. And he said, like, I asked him, I said that this whole thing can be over. Like, Mueller's, this whole thing can be over if you'll sit down. And Trump refused to sit down and answer questions.
Right.
And, like, you know, think for a second, like, if you are a supporter, or, you know, like a supporter of Trump, that's gross. But don't we want our president to be answerable to us? Don't we want the president who we elected? This is a goddamn democracy. The man's not king.
Yeah.
Like,
He needs to be answerable.
yes,
to
if the
American
public
people.
says, I got questions, I'm sorry, motherfucker, you sit and answer those questions, or you go get another fucking job.
Yeah.
It is its own scandal
Yeah.
that he won't answer questions.
Right.
It is his own scandal. That should be, we're just in this, like, post-scandal phase of American politics.
Right. We've ruined the scandal forever.
There is no scandal left. Like, he hired a prostitute, Stormy Daniels.
Yeah.
He paid money to have sex with her. That's a prostitution.
Yeah.
That is a crime.
Yeah.
We know he did that.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as scandal anymore.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as too far. When the president won't behave in a way that is answerable to the people,
Right.
that's a king.
Right. Yeah. And,
That's a king.
And the problem is that his base really likes that. They like it when their guy's in charge and unquestionable. They don't like it the other way around. When Obama was in office, they were constantly exactly where we were, which was screaming about everything. Every little thing he did, they had a problem with. Every single thing.
Yeah, they called him a tyrant.
But the difference between us and them is I want Obama to be questioned. I want him to be answerable to the public. They, when it's their guy, don't, but when it's anyone else, they do. And then that's a shitty way to think, and that's a shitty way to exist in this country, because it means you don't respect it. What you respect is, what you want is power for yourself only. There's a selfish underbelly in the United States, a selfish group of people.
I think there's a selfish overbelly.
Yeah, well, it is overbelly because it goes right over the belt.
It just hangs over a rascal scooter.
It's the overbelly. I will say this. One of the things that they said that he perked up about, and this is the Jello moment. We go like, your Jello's ready, sir. This is where he's talking about foreign interference. He's very adamant that this is a huge problem in the United States right now and has been for the past 5 years.
And this is baffling that this is not the biggest deal.
Right? That this isn't the biggest part of the story.
It's astonishing that we have a hostile foreign government meddling, as Mueller says, successfully meddling in our election process, undermining our democracy, undermining the will of the American people. And that means that they are helping to shape the future and the policies that we all get to live with. We all live with the guy that got elected. Which means that the guy that got elected is being helped by a hostile foreign power that wants to shape American policy, and they're doing it successfully, and we're fucking bickering about nothing.
Yeah.
We're bickering about minutia rather than paying attention to the attack, the legitimate attack on the actual freedoms that we have, on our actual goddamn working democracy. So here's kind of what Mueller said. He says, I hope this is not the new normal, he told Representative Peter D. Welch, a Democrat of Vermont, after the congressman asked him whether future political campaigns could accept foreign interference. But I fear it is. And when I read that, I thought back immediately to the first time Trump was asked, if you were offered intelligence on an opponent by Russia, would you take it and not report it, or would you report it to the FBI? And he said, of course I wouldn't report it to the FBI. I would take that intelligence. Of course I would. And that caused an uproar. And then he walked it back. And he said, no, I'd report it to the FBI. And I thought, he hasn't figured out that is kissing cousins with treason.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to speak hyperbolically, but that is kissing cousins with treason to work with a hostile foreign country to together subvert the will of the American people and shape our foreign policy, our domestic policy, everything. I'm amazed by this. I'm amazed that this is like not the biggest fucking deal. You have nothing to worry about politically if you don't get to elect your own leaders.
Yeah.
If we're not electing our leaders, then just cut out the whole fucking fake bullshit experiment and decide that we're all just like, oh, let Russia decide who wins.
Yeah.
If it's not you, then just fuck it.
Make it an online poll.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have fucking President Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah. I sent out a survey monkey who's president.
Yeah. The other thing that this sort of, the Russian meddling sort of brings forward is immediately people want to start to put some sort of bills together because they're like alarmed by it. Well, as soon as that happens, one of the GOP senators, Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, a Republican from Mississippi, blocked both of the bills and didn't give reasons for her objections.
It's amazing. Here's what the bill would have done. The bill would have required campaigns to alert the FBI and the Federal Election Commission about foreign offers of assistance, as well as a bill to let the Senate Sergeant of Arms offer voluntary cyber assistance for personal devices and accounts of senators and staff. That's like...
I mean, yeah.
What are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We can't all be like, oh, yeah, you know what I don't want? And we can't get that done.
Yeah. Yeah. And he also got really upset. Mueller, as upset as he could be about WikiLeaks. At one point, he says they had said, do you think that someone had asked him, Quigley, this is from a guy from Illinois, had asked him about WikiLeaks. And he asked for a reaction to the candidates Trump praised for WikiLeaks during the campaign. And he said, it's problematic is an understatement in terms of what it displays in terms of giving some hope or some boost to what is and should be illegal activity, Mueller. So it should be illegal activity, he says. And I have a feeling there's a lot of times that we're talking about things that he really can't say is illegal, but thinks should be illegal. You know what I mean? Like we talk about collusion. He even says at one point, he's like, well, that's not really a crime. But you know that he would say if that was a crime, yes, he's guilty of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But immediately afterwards, Trump's like, no collusion, no collusion. There was no collusion. They have to say it. They have to say it out loud because it's not an offense that you can indict somebody.
It's not a legal term of art.
Right.
Right. What they were looking for was evidence of a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Rather than evidence of collusion. So the obstruction piece is clearly there.
The obstruction piece is absolutely there.
There's no question. There is no question. Mueller said as much with the words yes when he was asked directly, like, did the president order one of his aides to lie to the investigation? Yes, that's obstruction of justice. It's cut and dry.
Yeah, and in his testimony, another article, it says Trump ordered former White House counsel Don McGahn to lie. Special counsel confirms that. Yeah. And there's a part where there's a video on this where the woman goes through and says, did he order him to lie? Yes, we believe he did. And that's these are moments where he's trying to cover something up. Now, is he trying to cover something up that you can't be prosecuted for? I don't think he knew that. Yeah. Which is why he ordered it. That's obstruction.
I don't know if he was worried about prosecution or worried about the political fallout.
Right. You don't. Yeah, that's the thing is you don't know, right? You don't know whether it's political fallout or not. But
maybe he's just fucking stupid and panicked and was like one of those guys that doesn't want to get caught. Sure. And is just like, I can hide it. I'm smarter than they are. I can run 2 steps in front.
What's crazy to me is it doesn't matter if he's caught. It legitimately doesn't matter.
This won't make any difference.
It doesn't matter at all. This is everybody in America that watched this or heard about it basically just went back to their partisan reporting and was like, yeah, this is exactly what I thought. Fox News never mentioned one of these things, and they talked only about the Republican talking points. I went to Fox News right afterwards, and there was no mention of any of this stuff whatsoever.
I'm sure not. Yeah. And the Republican side, what they wanted to do, they wanted to call into question the origin of the investigation itself, which is the Steele dossier, right? Which he would not comment on.
He's not going to talk about
because it's part of an ongoing investigation. Yeah. So you want to talk about the origin. And the reason you want to talk about the origin is that there's an idea that if the investigation itself was started on false pretenses, then whatever happens throughout the course of the investigation or whatever the investigation finds is somehow tainted, right?
It's built on a shitty foundation.
That's bad thinking. Yeah. That's really, really sloppy, shitty thinking. That doesn't actually hold up if you just pause and think one single substantive thought ever in your life.
If you accidentally walk in on your wife fucking another guy, it doesn't mean that she's still not fucking another guy.
Exactly. Right?
You know what I mean?
You're not supposed to be home now.
It's like,
well, I am.
Yeah. Oopsie.
You're not supposed to be full of dick.
Yeah. But the thing is like that's what they're basically saying is, well, there was a false pretense or whatever when it was created. So therefore nothing, everything that happens. Yeah. You could just shoot whoever you want in the face afterwards. It doesn't matter because it's on false pretenses.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's fucking silly.
It's a stupid thing to think.
It's fucking silly.
Yeah.
And then they were also trying to cast aspersions on the objectivity of the investigators by saying that half of the investigators had known political ties or political affiliation with the Clinton campaign. Yeah. And basically saying, well, like half of them are Democrats. And I thought, like, that's about all right, let me go ahead and take stock. If half are Democrats, the other, let's see, that leaves 1/2 presumably are not. And that's a general makeup of the American public.
They're all Gary Johnson or Jill Stein supporters.
I listened to that. I thought, like, you might have something if all of them were.
Sure.
You might have something if you said, look, all of these guys all have ties and political affiliations that are in opposition to the current administration they're investigating. Yeah. I'd be like, you know what, that's worth talking about.
Sure.
I would be concerned about their objectivity.
Yeah.
But the best they even came up with, they're like, about half of these guys. I'm like, well, it's about half of,
what? Half of America, turns out.
About half of the people in this room are men, and the other half are women. Clearly, there's a bias toward men.
Clearly, I'm not in a boardroom. Yeah, and they did come after him at one point for bias. They came after him, and they said that guy hated Clinton. It was Gohmert who was going after him. He's like, that guy hated Clinton, and he said, yeah. And as soon as I found out, or hated Trump, I think they said. He's like, as soon as I found out, I transferred him. He's like, yeah, I acted on that immediately. Yeah. They tried to they basically tried to like smear this guy. That's really what their plan was. Smear him, make him seem like he doesn't know what he's talking about, and also just monologue. And they you know, I thought they did a pretty good job.
Oh, did you? See, I thought they did a good job
monologuing.
They got a good job monologuing. Yeah. I think Mueller, for the most part, is generally unsmearable. Yeah. Like, the worst they got out of him was that he was just kind of doddering. Yeah. Which, okay, but it doesn't substantially invalidate the facts. And you know that it doesn't because on the right, what they're doing is they're saying like, well, this part of your report proves that he didn't collude. Okay, fine. So if you believe that, you have to believe the whole thing. You can't believe that the investigation, I know,
it's
right?
just like everything else with them. Right. It's just like climate change. It's just like they will pick and choose whatever they want to believe and then throw everything else out. That's their method of thinking.
I know that I'm going to get into this with people, and I know that when I do, the argument's pretty self-contained, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, so we discount the whole report. So maybe there's collusion with Russia. Well, no, they didn't find any collusion. So we're going to take the whole report.
Yeah. No.
Well, then we're done here. Yeah. We are absolutely
done. You can't do either then, right?
You can't. Either you trust the report, but then you trust the report for the things it says and the things it doesn't say. I'm going to trust the report because everything that I've ever read about Mueller is that he's a fucking Boy Scout. Yeah. Is that he's a rules guy, is that he's uncorruptible. Nobody was able to show that this guy was anything other than ethical. Yeah. Anything other than that he acted with the best of intentions. Yeah.
In the name of Jesus, we speak that. Ora mana shanda karaba. Lo koremene bere jede kede burishida kidibera sana.
What kind of feeling? I'm high on believing.
This story comes from deadstate.org. Christians finally condemn Trump's racist rally. I would love to stop reading.
Can we just stop there and just pretend that everything's okay?
Okay. No, we can't do that because he said goddamn.
Also, can we be real honest? We're going to read a few of these tweets here. I will play your song for you when we do. But when we read these tweets, Tom, these are not condemning tweets. Like, I read through these and like, they make it sound like, oh my God, it condemns it. No, these ones are all just like, please, Mr. Trump, don't do it again. Like,
thank you.
That's really all it is. It's not condemning. Like, I feel like Dead State fucking missed the ball on this.
Yeah, condemn is fuck that. That's unacceptable. Yeah. That's not my guy anymore.
I'll never vote for you again. You know,
you're dead to me. That's if I've condemned something. Right. That's it. Right. Like, think about it. You condemn a fucking building. It's not like I got new wallpaper.
What? You can go back in an hour.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. No. All right, so we're going to read some tweets here. Hold on a second.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Cool. All right, so here's one. Love you, Mr. President. This is condemning.
This is a condemning tweet.
Love you, Mr. President, but please stop using the Lord's name in vain. Hashtag Trump 2020. Hashtag MAGA 2020.
So that doesn't feel like condemning to me. Anyway.
That is okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Here's another one from Birdseye 54. This is why I can't take this seriously.
I love it so much. After we get done, I'm going to tell you about a dream I had.
God, every part of me is breaking right now. I was very disappointed that you felt the need to use the Lord's name in vain at last night's rally. Period. No capitalization. You are better than this. No comma.
Get out your red pen.
I pray you will never do it again. Otherwise, I have no choice as a conservative Christian than to no longer support you. Please apologize to everyone.
That one's a little more condemning. A little bit.
There's a lot of pleases in there, but there's at least an ultimatum. Mr. President, please do not take the Lord's name in vain. Lots of your supporters are unhappy.
So that's not a condemnation at all. That's
no.
Nothing.
All right. Well, it's getting heated in here.
It's getting heated.
Woo. Great rally last night, except when you said, God damn.
Well, then they put like the little @ signs for all the
Yeah, they
O's
did
and
the Snoopy
A's,
swearing.
and then they put an ampersand in there for part of it. Yeah, exactly. Snoopy swearing.
Yeah.
It's like wah, 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 wah.
When you say those words, then say things like putting God back in the USA, it is a contradiction. Please don't take the Lord's name in vain. Thanks. I've been a supporter since the 2016 election. I voted for you then, and I really want to in 2020, but please stop taking the Lord's name in vain. It is extremely offensive to Christians. My husband and I had to turn the TV off. Please stop. Wow. The vitriol.
Well, what you had to do is you had to take yourself away from it. You were so offended.
By the word goddamn?
You had to take yourself away from it, and there's no consequence for the person who did it. It's so offensive to you that you had to take yourself away from it, but that you don't want to do anything to the person who said it. Anyway,
it's literally crazy to me that somebody could hear the word goddamn and like fucking have to turn the TV off. Oh my God, you gotta turn it off! Run away!
These people's hands are constantly around their pearls everywhere they go. They can't stop clutching them.
Dirty word, dirty word, dirty word, dirty word.
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here, you baby.
Oh, Jesus.
Please, Mr. President, stop taking the Lord's name in vain. Please. I really care about you being president, but a lot of Christians will not be able to vote for you if you continue this practice.
Yeah, that person doesn't care. That person only cares about his electability. Yeah. They actually don't care themselves.
Well, and also it's like, it's not true.
Yeah.
Like, this is the vitriol.
And this is the example.
This is it?
This is the example that it's not true.
They're voting for this guy.
What's the worst one here has fucking Trump 2020 on.
Yeah, right. Hashtag MAGA 2020, hashtag Trump 2020.
All the rest of these are all just, like, this is all just fucking more fellatio. I take issue with this article because of how it's set up, because of the setup for it made me feel like, oh, somebody's finally going to have some Trump grit, right? Yep. Like there's going to be some moment of this, and there's not any. Now you can find some of those people out there.
Sure.
But people are still apologizing for him constantly. It's been a constant stream of apology for all the things that he does. And I guess the couple of things that he does really well, making sure that we hate women. I think that's
he's got that one licked.
He's doing that one really good.
Unlike the women he's
doing well. Oh,
gross.
Yeah,
gross. That man's face has no business being in a sexual context.
That person had better have a damn big thigh gap. That's all I'm saying. Because I'll tell you what, you need a viaduct to get his face under there.
Jesus.
Like there's like a clearance. Like he's like that 10'6" bridge he wouldn't fit under.
That China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
This is one of those stories that like you almost can't love enough.
At first I didn't believe it.
I
don't know that I believe this.
It's all over.
But then it's all over. So
this is from Vox. 45 is a puppet. Trump spoke in front of an altered presidential seal and nobody knew.
That seal's amazing.
This seal is so fucking amazing.
Let me describe it really quickly. So the shield on the eagle resembles the Russian shield on the Russian flag. And then there's two heads of the eagle instead of one. And that again resembles the Russian seal. Inside of the feet for the eagle, the talons for the eagle, are two things. One, it should be an olive branch and arrows, but instead it's money and golf clubs. And they've replaced e pluribus unum with 45 es un titeri, I guess, and it's Spanish for that translates to 45 as a puppet, which is interesting. They went from Latin to Spanish instead. Like I wonder if the person knew. I wonder if the person knew that it was Latin and instead just like didn't even know.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's hilarious. He's speaking at a student thing.
Yep.
And someone had put the seal up there and they had changed the seal to with the golf clubs on it.
It's so great.
And it's so amazing that no one noticed and nobody stopped him. And there's photo ops right in front of it and him standing in front of it. His big fucking roast of a face. His fucking dumbass face and he's clapping. That's what happens when you have somebody who's, I think, hired a bunch of people who are so incompetent. I would be curious to know if this would have ever worked on another president. I don't know that it would have. I would have think that they would come in with with, to control the whole situation and not just, have a bunch of half-assers handle this sort of thing.
I've done a fair amount of public speaking for work. And every single time I do public speaking, I bring my own slides. I would never one time ever under any circumstances email my slides to somebody else and just show up and hope that they were there and hope that they were right. That's not what you do when your job depends on it, right?
Yeah.
You show up, every time I've ever had them, I've had them in my own email, on my computer, and on a flash drive.
Right.
Because I am not going to fuck this up.
Right.
Because I'm the asshole standing in front of it.
Yeah.
And if it gets fucked up, it's I forgot I'm not wearing pants.
It's like when your teleprompter breaks.
Right.
And then you're talking about some random shit for 20 minutes that nobody knows what you're talking about.
They took the airports.
Yeah, they took the airports. But in this case, it might have been that he didn't even have anything. Instead, they were just showing it on the thing behind him. But wouldn't you bring your own step and repeat and just be like, well, what the fuck? I'm just going to put my own fucking banner back here. It's a banner that we carry around. We had one made at Kinko's. We're the White House. Instead, they're just like, yeah, don't worry, we'll handle it. And some fucking joker put this up there,
right?
And he looks like an absolute fucking fool because of it.
And I guess somebody got fired as a result of this. I was reading earlier today, but it's who cares? Fucking prank war win all day long.
I hope that they fired somebody who was responsible and not somebody who just had somebody else do it and then they got fired for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that that's not the case, that somebody got fired because they just presumed that one of the students was going to give them something and they just posted it or let them through or something.
The only person that should be fired is whoever's in charge of vetting this shit, right?
Should be somebody on his staff.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's the person who should be fired.
Right.
So, Tom, right now, our sponsor, AdamandEve.com. And AdamandEve.com, I just want to mention, if you like to fuck.
If you don't. Really?
Yeah. But if you like to fuck and you like to get fucked, AdamandEve.com is a great sponsor for this show because they provide oils and lubes and things to fuck with and things to get fucked with and things to put on stuff and things to put under stuff, things to put around stuff. I mean, you basically can pack that shit in airtight wherever you want.
And the nice thing is with the code GLORY at checkout, you won't get fucked on the price.
Exactly.
Because you get 50% off almost any item at AdamandEve.com. You get a ton of free gifts. You get free DVDs. There's something for you, something for her, something for both of you guys. No sex swing right now.
Yeah,
no sex swing.
But free shipping.
Free shipping.
You get to swing it out to you that way instead. You get free. All you have to do is enter GLORY at checkout. You'll get all that stuff. And fucking has never been so fun.
All right, here's an uplifting story from The Guardian. And it is actually a little bit. No doubt left about scientific consensus on global warming, say the experts. It's 99%, right? 99% of scientists at this point are saying that there is a consensus. Global warming is a real thing. It is a real thing. It is caused by people. You cannot attribute to the extent of the warming over the course of the last 2,000 years to any cyclical causes. And it's really, really fucking obvious. The studies use reconstructions based on trees, ice, and sediment from all continents, and they indicate that none of these shifts took place in more than half the globe at any one time in other places in history or other times in history. So we know some shit at this point. It is no longer a point that anybody in conversation should accept controversy around. There is no controversy about the cause of global warming.
What's crazy is that our government is constantly doing things that are exactly the opposite of what needs to be done when it comes to global warming. People are being silenced. We covered a story, what was it, 2 weeks ago, Tom? We covered a story where a person was being silenced because that they had to resign. They resigned because they were like, no, they basically said, we're not going to take notes on what you have to say.
We're not going to enter your testimony into the record.
Because we don't want to hear what you have to say. We don't want to hear this stuff. And there's a ton of people out there who think global warming is a hoax still. They think it's a total hoax. Before Trump was president, he called it a hoax from China.
Oh, yeah, he said it was invented by China. It was invented
by China. So he's been calling it a hoax forever. There are some things that are terrifying about it. You had mentioned a story earlier. I'll let you tell it about California, but I do want to play something before we move on. There's a woman, a young lady from the Guardian. It was in another Guardian article. This girl. She's a 16-year-old girl. Her name's Greta Thunberg, and she's a Swedish climate activist. And she went to Davos and she read a speech. And I'm only going to play part of this speech of what she has to say, but I love what she has to say here.
Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope. But I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. And then I want you to act. I want you to act as if you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house was on fire. Because it is.
I think that's amazing.
That is awesome.
That young lady is I guess a big climate activist. She's been getting a huge following because of it, and she's right. You know, this is not something that we need to be wishy-washy about. It's something that we need to be all in on.
Yeah.
You had said something about California earlier today.
Yeah, so there are some bright spots. So the administration, it's good and bad. It's fucking maddening. So the Trump administration is rolling back its requirements around mileage standards. So the number one producer of greenhouse gas is still transportation related in the United States. And the Obama administration had said, cool, by 2025, all new cars sold in America need to meet this standard of being at least 50 miles per gallon, I think it was, 51 miles per gallon for cars and light trucks. That was rolled back. The Trump administration's like, yeah, we're going to kick that down to 37. And California said, great story, but we're the 5th largest economy of the world. We swing some big dick. They got together with the 4 major automakers of the United States, and they secretly made an agreement between California and those 4 automakers just released that they're going to exceed the Obama standard. They're going to do it by 2026 instead of 2025, and all new cars sold by that time will actually have a higher average miles per gallon than the administration is requiring. And you know what's fucking insane about that? That's all happening between California and the voluntary actions of these auto manufacturers. Sure. And the Trump administration's official stance on that is, we will fight this. Now, states' rights would say states can pass any law that, as long as it doesn't exceed the law of the federal government. So in other words, it has to, a federal law you have to abide by, but you can be more restrictive, just not less restrictive, right? So this, in this case, is great. It's like, yeah, well, all right, wait, you want 37? Great. That's the minimum then. I can't go 36.
Yeah.
But I can go 38. They're saying, well, I'm going to go 51. And all the major auto manufacturers are going to go 51. And it's not going to be just for California. It's going to be for every car sold in the United States, because they're not going to make cars special in a special California plant.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to send them just to California.
And they said part of the reasoning is they wanted to be good stewards of the environment. That's part of the reasoning.
Sure.
Part of the reasoning is they want to sell a bunch of fucking cars, right? Yeah. So, and the Trump administration has said, this is a federal initiative. We need one standard, not a bunch of hodgepodge standards, and they're going to fight this. Which, if you're a small government Republican, this is shitting on states' rights.
Yep. Where you at? Where you at, states' rights, bitches? Where you at? They're not here.
Yeah.
Because what they want is less regulation.
Yeah.
Right. So they probably wouldn't even approve of the 37. You know what I mean? Like they don't even like that idea.
Right.
I was talking to you earlier about, I'm somebody who is willing to pay money for to reduce my carbon footprint. I'm willing to pay money into that. I'm willing to give someone money to make sure that happens. I feel like it's my responsibility to try to reduce my carbon footprint. Currently I don't drive but once or twice a week anyway, right? But I'm willing to, if something were to come along that would help me reduce my carbon footprint for driving, I would do it. Same thing with, my house in some way. If there's some way I can reduce my carbon footprint there, if I can consume solar energy over, coal energy, I'd be more than willing to pay a little extra to consume solar energy than, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people, I think, in the country in the same position I am, where they might have a little tiny bit of extra income that they're willing to spend on something like this. There's money to be made here.
There's a ton of money.
There's a lot of money. When Elizabeth Warren was on stage, she was saying it was a $1 trillion plus, I think it's just several $1 trillion market. We're talking about trillions of dollars to be made here. And I know that some of those dollars are mine to be made. There's plenty of space for people to make money. That's the thing that bothers me about, specifically about the Republican head in the sand that's happening with this, is that there's money to be made here. And they're always talked about how they're all for the people. And, gosh, you make so much money when the Republicans in there, yada, yada, yada. This is a perfect opportunity to make sure that there's, tons of new American innovation as well as American jobs. And we're just throwing it all away by saying, no, it's not a thing.
Well, it seems like doesn't it feel like we're protecting the buggy whip manufacturers at this point?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like the world has moved on from fossil fuels.
Yeah.
The world is actively moving on. We don't want it. Young people don't want it. When you look at the next, when we prognosticate, which we just talked about how inaccurate that is, when we prognosticate about what we think life is going to look like, is there anybody who really says, yeah, well, what I see in the near term future, meaning the next 15, 20 years, is I see a bastion of young people reaching adulthood excited about burning fossil fuels.
Yeah.
That's really?
Yeah.
Say that out loud and then don't kill yourself.
Yeah,
It's so stupid.
Right.
Everybody has a way of interpreting them to be the truth or not truth. There's no such thing, unfortunately, more a fact.
This is literally unbelievable. This is the world we're in. Right Wing Watch. Brenden Dilley. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to go viral.
Oh, this guy is such a fucking degenerate. So we're going to play this fucking idiot. This is his show, The Dilley Show.
And here's what I'm going to tell you, MAGA. I'm going to tell this to all of you guys. It's not your...
You're going to tell it to MAGA.
He's going to tell it to MAGA. He's got
Make America Great Again. Hey, Make America Great Again.
He's got on the wall, he's got a Game of Thrones House MAGA on the wall. Do you see that back there?
Yeah, the unframed poster that he has
terribly clever
tacked on the wall like he's a fucking ninth grader. Is that what you're asking me? Is that what I see? Yeah, I see that.
Responsibility to correct fake news against your enemies. That's the fucking left's responsibility. Some of you guys don't get this. You don't know how to fight. You're busy being virtue signaling dickwads, all right? And I love you, but sometimes you're virtue signaling dickwads. Dilley,
Jesus Christ.
Dickwogs?
You're a dickwad.
You're a dickwog.
That's what you are. You're a virtue. Yeah, the right is full of virtue signaling. MAGA, the MAGA fucking
the MAGA
audience.
crowd. Yeah, the fucking
Listening
Pepe
to this.
frogs.
Right. They're a bunch of virtue signaling
Sure
dickwads.
thing. Sure thing.
Okay.
why'd you do fake news about Liz Warren and the Mammy Pot? Because fuck Elizabeth Warren. That's why. I told all of you, it doesn't have to be true. It just has to go viral. And
that is
there you go.
Problematically
there
true.
You go. There you go.
Yeah. Like what upsets me, and it upsets me, is he's not wrong.
No.
Like he's saying, like, this is a guy producing this shit. Like, yeah, the ends justify the means.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
That's how we arrive at truth.
Yeah.
The thing is,
well, he's not saying truth. I don't think he's saying truth.
I think that he's not saying truth because he's the one producing it, so he knows it's not true.
He knows it's not true.
But you only manipulate other people's thoughts if they think it's true.
Yeah.
If the audience receiving that information perceives it as true. So that shapes the larger truth about like who people are and like what their ideas are. It's like, this is it. Like, this is the world we've asked for, and this is the world that's delivered now.
Yeah.
That's scary, man. That's really, to just knowingly produce this and just to tell other people, like, yeah, this is the plan. The plan out loud and everything is to rob that bank.
I knew it was fake when I gave it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care because all it does is hurt the person I don't like. I don't want that person in power, so I'm going to hurt them as much as I can. That's a crazy mindset to me.
You know everything. If that's somebody's mindset, you know everything you need to know about them, right?
Yeah.
There's no question left that's still interesting about who that person is.
Yeah.
And like what they want for the world. What they want for the world is power at any cost.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What they want is what they want, period.
Yeah.
And there's no other opinion out there that can even be considered.
Yeah. This is not like, and it's important because like you can't have a good faith debate with these people.
No.
And never try.
No.
Right? Because it's fruitless from the start because if you start a good faith debate with somebody who doesn't act on good faith, then that's lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
That's wasting time.
Yeah.
I stand by that statement when it comes to our enemies, and I'll make my fuck.
And that's the problem is that you're the one who gets to decide who the enemy is, right? Yeah. You're the one who gets to decide for everyone who the enemy is. And so if it's your decision, then whoever you don't like is the one you get to spread disinformation on.
Right.
And it's basically now you're not looking at something like objective truth and saying, okay, well, that person did something good here or bad here, et cetera. Instead, you're just like, everything they do is bad because I don't like them and I don't want them to have any kind of power. So I'm going to do whatever I can to thwart that. And so now I'm the one who gets to decide who's the one in charge.
Like, how weak? Aren't you acknowledging the weakness of your position when you say, like, in order for me to argue against this, like, my worldview trumps your worldview. I have a better worldview. I have a better plan for the future.
Yeah, right. Isn't that what you should be saying? Yeah.
The only way for me to attack you is to make things up because there isn't anything genuine there. If there's really stuff that's genuinely bad about Elizabeth Warren, then you don't have to make shit up.
You just say it.
Just say that
just
stuff.
Say it. And then objectivity, the truth, will then let everybody know how bad that stuff is.
Right.
Yeah. Like if it comes out that she's eating the faces off babies to stay young, and the public needs to know that, okay, then we need to know that, right? And then if you say it out loud and everybody's like, well, fuck that, I don't want that lady, then it worked, right? But if it's not true and you say she's eating the faces off babies to stay young,
doesn't that matter?
It should matter, right?
And doesn't that say, like, I don't have any argument?
Right.
Like, I don't have.
Yeah.
I got nothing here. I'm weak in this position.
She talks about economic policy. Fuck, she'll face fuck me.
Right.
You know, I don't know anything about economic policy.
So I'm just going to make some shit up.
So I'm just going to make anything I can up that's damning.
Fucking, I'll be okay. I'll make my bed. I'll lay in it. And I'll deal with my creator. And I'll say, hey, I'm sorry about some of that fake news I spread against terrible people. You think that I know whether Rapinoe is actually a Satan worshiper? Of course not. Of course not.
I kind of love it. He's like, I don't know about any of this shit.
I don't know who this person is.
I'm willing to tell gullible people that it's true because they'll believe it.
Yeah.
I'll even say out loud that I'm spreading disinformation. Yeah. It won't. Here's the crazy thing.
That's the crazy thing. It doesn't matter.
It won't halt the spread of disinformation.
Doesn't matter.
We're at a place where you can be like, I'm lying to you. And they're like, yeah, I believe that.
That's fine.
That's cool.
That's cool.
What I won't do is I won't believe you're lying to me. And then I'll subsequently believe the lies.
Let me retweet this.
I have no idea. There's some stuff that makes you wonder. There's some stuff that makes you wonder, okay? Makes you look, oh, she might be a Satan worshiper. Do I know that definitively? Did I throw that out there and get it to go viral? I had another dipshit yesterday he tried to fact check me on that one. Why are you taking up for Megan Rapinoe? Why are you defending Megan Rapinoe? Whether she is or isn't a devil worshiper doesn't fucking matter to me. That dirty piece of shit is a horrible representation of the United States of America and our values.
One could say the same to you, sir.
Like, I'm listening to this. I'm just like, you're everything I've ever hated in a human being right now.
You're the human version of truck nuts. That's what you are.
And if all I've got to do is link together a couple of fucking things that make her look like a Satanist to take some shine off that bitch's moment, I'll do it every time. A lot of you don't know how to fight. And a lot of you don't have the fucking guts to do what I'm doing because...
What, lying to people? That's not hard.
It's not brave
It's
either.
like literally the easiest thing in the world to do, to lie to people. You know what's hard? Is owning up to actually being honest and being a truthful person. That's a hard thing to do. Yeah. That's the hard path. The easy path is lying. Right. That's the path of no resistance. That's the weak fucking path. That's the coward's path.
Right.
You're a fucking coward is what you are. Fuck you. Fucking hard path. You're a pussy. You're a giant pussy who's going to lie to get your way. You're weak. You're the weakest, shittiest person I could possibly imagine. Who the fuck's powerful in this situation? You fucking kidding me? You're lying to get your way. You're like a little kid.
Yep. I didn't steal that, Mom. I didn't take that. Like, you glad you guys don't have the guts to make up stories and malign someone's character rather than dealing with the world as it is because it's hard and I can't get that way.
Unbelievable. What a fucking giant fucking loser. What an absolute loser.
Because frankly, you're probably better people than I am.
Certainly.
Frankly, sir. you're a fucking coward.
Yeah, literally one of the worst people we've ever had on the show.
I mean, really genuinely, most of these guys have some sort of illusion that they're like, like they're hiding behind Jesus and they're saying, look, Jesus is good. So by association, I'm kind of good, right? Like, oh, what do you say? This guy's just like, no, I'm a genuinely bad person.
What's amazing is like, can you imagine you're one of his listeners and you listen to this and you're like, okay, well, he'll just lie about whatever is convenient for him. So why am I going to listen to the next thing he says?
Yeah.
I know everything I need to know now. This is somebody I can't trust. To trust this person would be foolish. He told me, you guys are dipshits if you trust me.
Yeah.
He said it. So why would I listen to his next video? Like, why would I listen to anything? So somebody who's willing to lie to me like this, like, why would I have any...
You better be telling me a fucking fictional story.
Right.
Like, if you're not talking about like a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago, then what the fuck?
Right.
You know, you can lie to me all you want if it's fiction, but if you're trying to pretend that it's the truth and you're telling me that you're going to lie to me, why on earth would I ever think that I should trust anything you have to say?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Okay, this story is amazing in every aspect, and we just need to read it because there's nothing for it but just to read how amazing it is. This is from NPR, our local NPR in Chicago. Yeah. Lawyer says shooter wasn't trying to kill a mob boss. He was under QAnon delusion.
God, what a crazy person.
So there's a picture of him, by the way, with a bunch of Q shit written in pen all over his hand.
He must have had time in study hall.
Yeah, I know. He looks like my 12-year-old, just shit written all over him. A 24-year-old man has been charged with shooting to death a reputed New York mob boss earlier this year, thought he was under the influence of QAnon, pro-Trump internet postings about the president, supposedly battling a cabal of liberal elites, his lawyer wrote in a recent submission that he probably was embarrassed to fucking write.
He's questioning. He's like, I should have gone to veterinary school. What the fuck was I thinking?
So prosecutors have charged Anthony Camello with murder over the fatal shooting of Francesco Calli, the alleged leader of the Gambino crime family, who was gunned down outside his Staten Island home in March. But in a new court filing, Camello's attorney argues that he became so engrossed with unsupported QAnon theories.
Oh, God, then all QAnon theories are unsupported. I don't know if they're making that distinction here, but let's just make that distinction really quickly.
Yeah. That on the night of Calli's death, he was acting under a delusion, which included that Democratic politicians, celebrities, and people associated with organized crime were all part of the deep state. He wrote that his client believed he was on a mission to save the American way of life. You know, this is one of those times where it's like the internet, it's bled into the real world. It didn't go well.
You know, there are some times where you're just like, you know, like I remember when the internet first came out and there, you know, there's a lot of smiles and like, oh, we're going to make funny, happy videos. And then once in a while, you'll see a dark side and you're just like, oh no, these people, there's like people who just can't handle it. They can't handle it. They're insane people that cannot handle this kind of thing. And they can't filter information well enough to know whether or not something's true or not.
Well, there's like, I think it's like when we talked about the incels before, there's a magnifying effect.
Yeah.
That being able to curate your information experience, which is like one of the features of just living in an online space. Being able to curate your information space has a magnifying effect on the value and truth of the information that you consume in that way. And so like the incels meet other incels and they create a world, and this guy meets these other people but not actually meets, and then they create a world, and that world feels total. And instead of understanding how small and insulated it is and how open to other thoughts and ideas it should be, it can become very consuming, and that magnifies the effect of it.
Yeah.
Beginning with the election of President Trump in November of 2016, Anthony Camello's family began to notice changes in his personality. Mr. Camello's support for QAnon went beyond mere participation in a radical political organization. It evolved into a delusional obsession. When Camello arrived at Calli's home, remember, Calli's a mob boss.
Yeah.
This is fucking amazing.
This is crazy to me that this happened.
According to the filing, his plan was to stage a citizen's arrest of the head of the Gambino crime family. See the scene's arrest.
I know, he shows up and he looks like Gomer.
You know, what was amazing is he only had one bullet in that gun. So
different guy.
I know, but same fucking crap. He planned to stage a citizen's arrest.
They're all Southerners. It's the same person. Doesn't matter.
Aren't they all from the same show?
They are from the same show.
Okay. But after a heated exchange with Callie, Camelo says, I would love to hear that exchange. I'm here to arrest you on President Trump's authority.
Go fucking fuck yourself. Fucking shitbird. Get the fuck out of here, huh? Take your fucking cue and shove it right up your own ass.
He probably had no idea what this guy was even talking about. Camelo says the alleged mob boss made a furtive action with his hand, which made Camelo afraid for his life. He then reached into his pickup truck, grabbed a gun, and fired at Callie.
He made an action with his hand. What he did was he waved him off. He said, go get your fucking shine box. Is what he said to him.
I love
I don't shine shoes anymore. How have you heard?
I love it like he's pulling the I was afraid for my life card, but then he had to go into his truck to get the gun.
I was afraid for my life confronting a known mob boss. I was afraid for my life because I crawled into the tiger cage.
It's like, hold on a second. I'm going to go in my car, and instead of leave in my car.
I mean, I don't like to blame the victim here.
I do this.
But in this one here, if you would have got it, I would have kind of blamed you because you really did go after a guy who, it's like walking up and like flicking the ear of like fucking Conor McGregor. It's like, I don't know that that's a good idea.
Oh, I can't believe I only flicked his ear and he beat me to death.
He took my esophagus out of my body and took it on a world tour with him. Unbelievable.
Because of his self-perceived status in QAnon, Mr. Camelo became certain that he was enjoying the protection of President Trump himself and that he had the president's full support, his lawyer wrote to court. The details contained in the filing are part of Camelo's planned mental disease or defect defense. How do you plead? Q.
I plead defect.
This fucking thing up here does not work.
Not working.
News of Callie's death ignited speculation about a possible restart of duels among New York's mafia families. The New York Daily News reported shortly after Callie's death that investigators initially suspected an underling of Callie or someone who had a beef with him.
Wouldn't it be amazing if somebody found some crazy QAnon conspiracy, one of the other families, and they just started planting information about the other family just to get one of them killed? You know what I mean?
Now's our chance, boys.
Like they're like, well, fuck, they're going to go hold up a pizza place. We could get Callie killed. Let's get Callie whacked. Let's fucking, all we got to do is just plant some crazy shit in this QAnon thing. It's literally anonymous. No one will know it's me.
It's like a feature, not a bug.
Right.
But neither theory turned out to be true, and what really happened, according to Camelo's lawyer, was even stranger. Camelo carried out his violent act as a way of fighting against the deep state to expose the entire conspiracy and ensure that every criminal is brought to justice.
Jesus Christ.
At a court hearing shortly after his arrest, Camelo held up his palms, which had ink scribbling of MAGA and the letter Q, possibly a QAnon symbol. Possibly a Q.
On his folder, he also had written Metallica on there. With the letters, with the long letters.
The lightning letters, the lightning
letters. Yeah, he did that.
Oh my God. He had it on his fucking denim jacket and whiteout.
Denim jacket.
Oh, so good. Camelo had a history of bizarre stunts, according to the filing. I love this too. He attempted to arrest New York Mayor Bill de Blasio.
No kidding.
At his official residence, but was thwarted by the police. In another instance, Camelo went to a federal district courthouse in Manhattan, believing that United States Representative Maxine Waters and Adam Schiff were there. His lawyer said he had planned to arrest and detain the two Democrats from California. He then went to a U.S. Marshals Service office nearby, but was unsuccessful in securing their assistance in his attempt to arrest both representatives.
Guys,
I love it.
Guys,
writing.
Guys. I just want you, I know you guys are busy doing U.S. Marshal stuff, but I just want to let you know, I need to arrest the two United States representatives. Do you have a few minutes? I don't know if you have a few minutes. Maybe you can get Tommy Lee Jones out here. He can come help me.
You guys probably aren't part of the deep state. But I would like us to search every birdhouse, doghouse.
So we are not going to thank our patrons this week. We are going to thank our patrons in a couple weeks. We had to record a couple of sessions in a row because I am going on vacation for a little while. So we had to record several sessions in a row. So we are not going to thank patrons this week, next week, or the following week. We are, however, going to thank them all when we come back, and we will have a live stream. We said we were going to do a live stream this month, but we are not going to be doing a live stream. We are going to be doing a live stream, so mark your calendars. I know this is coming out well before, but we're going to mention it every week for the next 3 weeks, so you remind yourself and put it on your calendar. We are going to be doing a live stream on the 25th of August. We're going to be doing a couple hours. We're going to be trying to drum up some patronage as well as doing a bunch of stories, and we're going to be having a lot of fun hanging out in Glory Hole Studios. You're going to want to join us. You're going to want to take some time out of your Sunday that day to come join us and just chill with us. Some people are going to come in, and they're going to want to make Gary the Unicorn fart glitter by becoming patrons that day, and we're going to have a great time. So come, put it on your calendars right now, the 25th. We will not mention patrons for the next couple weeks, but we promise we will do it in 3-4 weeks. I'm not sure exactly. We will promise we will do it, though, very soon. Very soon. Tom, we talked about bulldogs, and several people sent messages. I saw a thread on our fan page, veterinarians saying, horrible dog.
They're just broken from the outset.
And I did look it up. Only 20% are born naturally.
That's
80% are cesarean section.
It's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild.
I just couldn't believe when you said it. I was like, God, really? But they're so fucking weird.
Yeah, they're so head big and pelvis small.
Yeah. But evidently, there's a ton of health problems that bulldogs have.
They're just a weird garbage animal.
Yeah.
They're just a shitty garbage animal. Look at the face of them.
We want to send a message out to Craig from Buttfuck, Ohio. He says he's been a listener for years, and he would send us a message. We want to say thank you, Craig, for listening in for all those years. We really do appreciate it, Craig. So Adam says, doesn't matter if it's hebephilia, if ephebophilia or pedophilia, they're raping children. And yes, we did make sure to go out of our way to say that they're raping children. I think we were just talking about, when we were talking about that, one of the reasons why we even brought it up is because they constantly are talking about a pedophile network.
Right.
And the reason why we brought it up is to talk about how that's not true in this particular case. Yes, he's raping children. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally
nobody's
agree.
Suggesting otherwise.
I totally agree. But I think that the reason why we brought it up was because the Epstein in particular, he's not a pedophile.
Right.
And I think we're not splitting hairs there because we all agree they're children, but they are not babies.
Right.
And I think that that's the difference.
And that's the claim that the deep state conspiracy
which is why we brought it up.
Yeah.
Right. But absolutely, Adam, and I think Tom and I are 100% in your camp. It doesn't matter the if you're fucking a 16-year-old and that's illegal, because there are some places in the country where it's not illegal. 16 is not illegal. But let's go to 15.
I'm gonna guess they're south of the Mason.
If you're fucking a 15-year-old,
right.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal everywhere.
Unless you're 15.
So Brian sent in a message and he said there's 7 Justice Democrats in Congress. And I didn't even know what a Justice Democrat was. I guess it's a sect of the Democrats that is farther left. American Progressive Political Action Committee, Justice Democrats. And it's that guy from the Young Turks, that Sank guy, is that his name?
Yeah.
He's part of that. And I guess that they're the farther left Democrats, and so
I thought they were just young enough to shop at Justice in the mall.
I wonder if they have little if they pull their shirt off and they have a little J on their shirt because I will say their symbol looks like a superhero symbol.
Yeah, well, they actually change into that in a phone booth in the past.
They're on their cell phone and they're like, hold on, I got to change into my. Yeah, but Brian sent that in. The thing is I don't think that they're attacking those 4 freshman women, but I think the reason why they're attacking them is because they're like you say, they're trying to demean women. But yeah, you're right. There's probably farther people on the left than than these women. So Dave Thomas, friend of the show, gosh, years Dave
Long
Thomas has
time.
been
Long
listening.
time.
Dave's been listening since I want to say first several episodes, maybe first 25 episodes, Dave sent a message in long time ago. So Dave's from the UK.
Love the burgers.
And Dave...
It's so good.
Dave Thomas.
Always fresh, never frozen.
Dave Thomas, I love your spicy chicken sandwich. But he sends in a message to say that Boris, what was his name? Boris Johnson.
Yep.
The guy who looks like he looks like that guy from Dumb and Dumber.
It does look like Jeff Daniels.
But anyway, the guy he is so a lot of people are confused on how this works. I guess in the UK they don't elect the prime minister. The prime minister is elected by the party. So they elect the party,
right,
and then the ruling party gets to decide who the prime minister is. And so they have an internal election based on that, based on their party. And it's not internal in the sense there's a couple 100,000 people that are part of this that get to vote. Several 100,000 people. I'm not sure exactly how many thousands of people
it's insane.
but it's
massive.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole population.
Okay.
It's just that particular group's representatives or whatever gets to vote on this. And then they choose a new prime minister because Theresa May stepped down. So when people are like weirded out by this Boris guy, who's a Brexiter and a crazy right wing guy, they're like, oh my gosh, the world's turning right wing. It's like, well, no, they were already in power. Yeah, they're just choosing a new right wing person instead of Theresa May, who was right wing already.
Selecting a nut from a group of nuts.
Exactly. But it's not that the rest of Britain decided that Boris Johnson was the new, it's that their party decided that he was. That. So some people though hadn't. Some people were a little, I did see some social media stuff about, oh my gosh, this is, like some stuff that was freaking out about it, but that's not how it works. So
I know there were that many of them.
It works. It's a lot. It's a lot, but they did say it was like only 0.03% of the electorate or something. It's a tiny amount.
That's how many show up to vote in America.
It's a tiny amount. And I might be misremembering, but I thought it was in the hundreds of thousands. So we got a message from Shane, and Shane just wanted us to know that there are people who don't like to fuck. There's asexuals out there. And so I totally get that. I know that there's a bunch of ace people out there. I actually know one. I know a lady who I've known her for maybe 15, 20 years. I don't know just one. I think I know two aces.
Really?
Yeah. So I know a couple of ladies who are aces.
Huh.
And so, yeah, I totally respect, you don't want to diddle, don't do it.
You do you or don't do you.
Yeah, don't do you. Don't do any. You could not do any. You could tap out or not tap out. Just fine.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. If you are an ace, you can still go to adamandeve.com and you could get like lube for your car, I guess.
You could buy a present for a friend.
Exactly. And they won't think it's threatening either because you're an ace, right? So you give them whatever you want. You can give them the biggest goddamn dildo in there. You could give them the table-sized dildo. You could buy them the scariest, craziest, like most extreme sexual device, and they would take it and have to smile at you.
Oh, all right, well.
So I'm going to read this. This is from Matt. He says, I was listening to BBC Global News podcast episode, UK Leadership Handover from today, and that was on the 24th. At 11 minutes, they had a story about an El Salvador's strict abortion laws where women have to prove in court that their stillbirth wasn't an abortion.
Oh, my God.
And it details the story of a woman who was jailed and missed 11 years of her now 14-year-old son's life. So
we can't go down that road.
So those people that are, saying, like you guys were blowing it out of proportion with Alabama.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe not. So we got a message from Freya, and Freya said, hey, I was listening to this old episode where they're talking about Jeff Epstein and you guys made fun of it. And I just say you guys need to give an apology. So truly and honestly, we do need to give an apology to Liz 10 Fingers,
8 Fingers
Crokin, who is someone who I think is the one who gave us who did do the, maybe it might have been, it might have been Vandersteel who did it. It might have been Vandersteel.
Pedophile Island?
Might have been her who was talking about Pedophile Island. So here's the thing. Blanket apology to female right-wing pundits who mentioned Pedophile Island.
Making fun of that? Didn't know there was a pedophile island.
I didn't know about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
No.
Because the Miami Herald isn't from Chicago. So I didn't know that was a thing. But now that it is national news, I absolutely 100% think that, That was something I didn't know about. However, I will say that their distortion of it is ludicrous. Right. So I will still stand by the distortion of that is ludicrous. But absolutely, there was a little Saint Jeff Island that he, had and still has, I think. So maybe he can go curl up in a fetal position down there.
Yeah. There was a part of this email too I wanted to address. I said you said that your mom listened to it and wasn't happy because she said they claim to be objective, but then they make lots of comments about people's appearances. That's not very objective. I have never claimed to be objective. I don't think we said we're skeptical.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever said we're objective.
I'm not objective. Also, I think you're allowed to make fun of people when you're ugly. I think if you're ugly yourself, you can make fun of other people that are ugly. It's like, you being black and using the N-word. You're allowed to do those
right.
things.
It's part of your rights.
It's part of your rights.
Yeah. I've taken back that word.
I've taken back ugly. You can't use the U word. So the next, like we said, the next couple episodes are pre-recorded. So the next couple episodes will be pre-recorded. But we think that they're very good. So you're going to want to enjoy those. And like we say, set your calendars, check your calendars, put it all together. Make sure you put it on your, open your phone now and go and be like, all day event, live stream, 25th of August. We are going to be live streaming for part of the day. But you're going to want to be,
it'll be fun.
You're going to want to get ready, get your guacamole ready ahead of time. It's like the big game. You're going to want to do that. So, but that's going to wrap it up for this week. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, water downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death in towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and views expressed in this show are that of the hosts only. Our poorly formed and expressed notions do not represent those of our wives, employers, friends, families, or of the local dairy council.